Well, let me give you a little bit of navigation help and just kind of a quick gloss of where we're going with this. I'm kind of leery of getting too deep into the content, which you will come to understand as you first watch the movie Merchants of Doubt and then also start reading the book, which is what we're going to do over the next few weeks. Once you start playing this, it's basically an introduction. It's on the home page. I will have orientations on the home page, unit by unit, but right now, since it's the first day, I just have a little YouTube saying hi to you, all right? And let me just emphasize from the top, if you have any questions, just email, whatever. We'll figure it out, all right? So basically a home page, I linked the home page as the syllabus. You have contact options here, email, my home email, Canvas, and then also Monday night I'll have a Zoom session from 8 to 9 p.m. for this class. This is what it's about, the Golden Pinocchio. And in the case of the current occupant of the White House, he's really been outstanding in telling lies about climate science. We'll get into that a little bit later. But the whole focus of the class is a massive millions and millions of dollar disinformation campaign on the part of the fossil fuel industry to confuse people about the dangers of global warming and in doing so maintain their profits and also protect themselves from lawsuits. This is going to be fun. It was a revelation for me when I learned about it. And that's what we're going to be doing in general. It is an 8-week course instead of 16, so it moves quickly. And again, let me return to my original purpose, navigation. That's why I'm here. So I can link to week 1 from the home page, which I will do right now. We're going to start getting to know you a little bit. I'm going to have you write a PIQ, that's a personal insight question from UC Berkeley. If you want, you can write a letter for an internship or for a job you're interested in, but this is kind of a good way to start. There are 8 different prompts for that you can link to, and it's just a good way to get to know you. So you're going to learn how to present yourself on paper. You'll get to know me because I will provide individualized VoiceThread responses at the end of week 1. And then in a few weeks out, I'm going to have you share some of these polished personal insight questions with each other. I will make exceptions if what you're writing about is far too personal to share. That's okay. Don't be afraid of that. We'll just let me know if privacy is essential. But otherwise, I'm going to have you reviewing each other's work in about 3 weeks in groups. So we'll just get it started this week. Good way to get to know you. And I'll usually have, the assignments, activities for week 1 here. Try to give you a good idea of the times. And then also I'll have you look ahead for week 2 because this is really important because your weekend work, that is what happens between weeks 1 and 2, you've got like basically 6 hours of work there to get ready for week 2. So I'll always try to put that ahead of time so you can look ahead like the little kid here and figure out what's next. Now, as you scroll through this, once you link to that module for week 1, it pretty much will walk you through a little bit more information about the PIQ. Your first discussion will be based on this incredibly good example from an Ohlone student who had a D average in high school. How's that? And after graduating from Berkeley, he went on to medical school. So I love this story. It's really cool. And we probably did a half a dozen drafts. This is a bit longer. It's an earlier time. And this is what he used for the common application to apply for the Cleveland Medical Clinic. And so it's 1,000 words. What you'll be writing is 350. But you'll get an idea of how to really put yourself on paper from this. Then there's a discussion. And then following every week's discussions, I want you to respond thoughtfully to each other's. And, there'll be, you can link to that here and look into that. I don't want to get too much beyond navigation here. Each discussion will have a clear prompt. and pretty straightforward. And then we'll move on to, from the first discussion, after learning about this, learning from this excellent PIQ, then I'll get you to write your own. And you can see from the attachment what the PIQ prompts are. There are 8 of them. Pick any one you like. I link a bubble chart and a mind map. If you want to just brainstorm before you write, once you decide on your topic, put yourself in the center and just make a bubble chart or a mind map. All those things. Just be very free and relaxed about it. Just kind of give yourself time to reflect before you write instead of plowing into it. If you spend a half hour doing that, your PIQ will really take a lot better shape. And then you want to assign it, or rather submit it. It's 50 points possible, but do keep in mind, this is something where we're going to very likely revise it. It's very rare to start off with 50 points. Usually they come in around 40 or something, or 38, maybe a little bit better. And then one of the goals of the PIQ is to work with you on writing. So I'll give you a voice thread at the end of the week, and then we'll follow up, hopefully one-on-one on one of my Friday sessions. I don't have one week one. I'll link them following weeks, and we can talk about this individually. That would be good before you revise. Or you can just go by the guidance of my voice thread. So I'm going to continue on here, and here's the assignment. And I think then I'll summarize the week, as I do every week. What have we done? What do we have going in week 2? And I'm going to remind you again that there's a lot of work in week 2, and I'm going to repeat it. There's not only the movie, that'll take about 3 hours to get ready for, but there's also this thing here. This is a 25-page chapter. 25-page chapter. Get ready for that. It's the first chapter of Merchants of Doubt. You can Google book Merchants of Doubt, and you'll get a copy that should have most of the first chapter. But technically, you're supposed to be getting a textbook for this. So keep in mind you're going to want to have that by the end of week 1, if not sooner. All right, and then you'll have 3 classroom discussions, and then you're going to respond to each other's. And then I have a couple of extra credit assignments too in week 2. And keep in mind, whenever I do that, it's not just busy stuff, it's ways of really thinking over the content so you can have a really great paper. So everything we do, all the discussions, the extra credit, everything we do is going to be geared towards that first essay. I've got a focus for your content, for your reading, for your critical thinking. So what I'm really trying to do is guide you to have a really robust feel for the content in a focused way so you can write an excellent first essay. But beyond the skill, I think it's a fascinating story, and I hope you enjoy it. And then we move into week 2, and it's going to be a similar thing. You're going to have the objectives, forgive me for that. You're going to have the why are we doing this, the assessment activities. There's going to be that movie quiz. And there'll be discussions on the book and responses to each other, and then the extra credit. And then you'll also have a link for week 3. Between weeks 2 and 3, you'll have a lot more homework because that's the week you write your essay. So you're going to have probably, outside of the class, some 15 hours of work for week 3. Always try to keep you ahead on that. And just to keep in mind, since this actually is a week 2 assignment, but you're probably going to do it the weekend between week 1 and week 2. You've got homework and preparation for the movie, and you've got a worksheet for the movie. I want to remind you there's a free version that's really excellent, and I'm assuming the link works now as it did a week ago. And then you have the scene-by-scene analysis. I want you to write commentary on each scene. You notice I've marked the minutes. Push pause. What was that 6-minute section about? Push pause. What was that 6-minute session about? Push pause. What was that 2-minute section about? Push pause. What was that 4-minute section about? And what I'll prepare you for is when you take the quiz on the movie, you only have 30 minutes, and you'll randomly respond to 5 of these movie segments. And you won't have time to go back and forth between the movie and then, conjure your answer in that short 30 minutes. So you're going to want to have good scene analysis notes before you take the movie quiz. That's why it might take you, 3 hours or so to prepare a response to this hour-and-a-half movie. And I'm going to leave it at that. That'll get you into week 2. I'm going to go very quickly here because we're over 10 minutes, for God's sakes. There's the quiz. And then we continue on, and we're going to have the discussions. You'll see a paragraph format. I use the ICE paragraph, and I give you an example here. The reason for that is I want you to have strong ideas, good support, and well-shaped responses, because everything you use in your discussions, you can use in your paper. There's no redundancy here. The better your discussion postings, the better you are ready for writing that paper. And then, when I ask you about which logical fallacies are used and things, I'll always have a link. And I'll just leave it at that. There, you're going to have each of the discussions, different sections, the pages are outlined, and then I'll remind you to respond to your classmates. And then we have extra credit after you've responded to your classmates. These extra credit things, this is all week 2. They'll really help you get a strong concept for the paper. And then following all of that work, then we have a wrap-up of week 2, and then a look ahead to week 3. And that's where I'm going to leave this now. I'll build the other sections afterwards, and I hope this is helpful. I'm sorry it's 12 minutes, but at least it'll help you get an idea of where we're going this semester. And I'll have one of these recordings at the bulkhead, if you will, at the top of each unit. We'll have 4 units in this class, and I haven't made completed the canvas for the second unit, but that'll be following up. We'll have more than enough time for that. Anyway, welcome. I hope this helps. I'm always here. You can always email, and I look forward to working with you this semester.